Leading the Nightline tonight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has long hailed US President Donald Trump as the greatest friend the Jewish state has ever had, but recent friction over ceasefire demands and military strikes suggests the alliance is beginning to fray. In part one of this two-part special report, RT correspondent Charlotte Debanskich speaks from Jerusalem on how anti-Israel sentiments are generally emerging in America among politicians and the population, and Trump's relationship with Netanyahu that is also deteriorating.
And over, Israel's Prime Minister has told his country that Trump is the best. Trump is their man in the US. The US and Israel are one with each other.
Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House. You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House.
But as the war with Iran and Lebanon has been playing out, is Trump really still Bibi's guy? Because it seems as if that relationship is on the rocks. Now, while Trump took to social media to say this,
whether people like Israel or not, they have proven to be a great ally of the United States of America. They are courageous, bold, loyal, and smart, and unlike others that have shown their true colors in a moment of conflict and stress, Israel fights hard and knows how to win.
And though it does sound positive here in Israel, that first line, whether people like Israel or not, seems to have struck a bit of a chord. It acknowledges, possibly for the very first time from Donald Trump, that there are many people who just don't like Israel. It is also seen as showing that there's a shift between Israel being an accepted ally to, well, a debated one. Well, it's clear that within the MAGA movement, former staunch Trump supporters are just no longer on the Israel bandwagon. And after IDF troops were caught red-handed smashing a statue of Jesus, the Christian right in the US has lashed out.
Our greatest ally that takes billions of our tax dollars and weapons every year.
Horrific.
And they are not alone in criticizing Israel, because Trump, too, has used social media to vent out. And as the war was in full swing back in March, he hit the roof when it emerged Israel had hit Iranian gas fields.
No more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar, in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field.
And just last week, as Israel was refusing point blank to agree to a ceasefire, Trump called the Israeli leader and told him in no uncertain terms that he needed to acquiesce. Netanyahu relented, agreeing to a suspension of hostilities. But as the IDF was accused of early breaches of that ceasefire, Trump once again took to social media to exhibit his absolute fury.
Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough.
Reports in the Hebrew press say that Netanyahu was personally stunned and alarmed by that tweet from Donald Trump. And just a few weeks ago, there were plans afoot for Trump to actually visit Israel in April as the country gears up for its Independence Day celebrations. Trump was to be the guest of honor, and he was due to receive the Israel Prize for his contribution to the Jewish people. Well, now that's been put on ice. Charlotte Debanskich for RT in Jerusalem.
SARAWAK is recognizing the commitment of its public workforce as 180 civil servants received the Premier's Loyalty Service Medal. So Premier Dato' Patighi Tan Sri Abang Jory Tunapeng presented the awards in Miri earlier today, marking the third ceremony of its kind held this year. The recipients represent 16 state and federal agencies, including the Public Works Department, the Land and Survey Department, and the Miri City Council. The awards honour individuals who have shown continuous dedication to the public sector, with some awardees having been in service for more than 39 years. The ceremony was divided into 2 sessions to accommodate representatives from various departments, including the forestry and agriculture sectors. Dignitaries in attendance included Deputy Premier Dr. Ahmad Dr. Sim Pui Hian and State Secretary Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Abu Bakar Marzuki. And Sarawak is setting its sights on transforming its plastic and aesthetic surgery sector into a world-class industry, rivaling the standards of South Korea. Deputy Premier Dr. Ahmad Dr. Sim Kui Hian says the goal is to build a trusted medical hub anchored by disciplined clinical governance, certified specialists and rigid patient safety protocols. Dr. Sim emphasized that while the sector has significant economic potential, practitioners must prioritize professional accountability to protect Malaysia's international reputation.
During the launch of the Sarawak Plastic Surgical Update 2026, Dr. Sim noted that plastic surgery is frequently misunderstood, clarifying that the field balances critical reconstructive work with cosmetic enhancements.
Yes, I know that people want to make money. Please make money, but do Malaysia proud. We don't need to make money, and people say, oh, Malaysia, aesthetic surgery, right? All the complications. Malu, because we want to be like South Korea. Everyone said the best plastic is South Korea, and we go to South Korea. That is the whole rationale.
Beyond cosmetics, reconstructive surgery remains a vital service at Sarawak General Hospital, which currently manages over 1,000 cases annually for trauma, cancer, and congenital conditions. As public demand for aesthetic procedures rises, Dr. Sim warned against shortcuts in training and the dangers of unregulated facilities.
This one is very important. It's very important. The safe aesthetic, your beauty, your choice, and your knowledge. And so we need to guide people. If we share the information with you and all those things, you still make your choice. When you get the complication, and if you later on, like what I mentioned, that's your own fault. Don't say we never tell you, because we tend to tell the nice story, but we never talk about the consequences.
As such, the Deputy Premier called for the strict adherence to the 3 Ps: procedures, practitioners, and premises as the core foundation for all clinical practices. He also urged the Ministry of Health to strengthen monitoring mechanism to ensure all surgeries are conducted in sanctioned environments rather than unsafe home-based setups.
Sarawak Metro has secured a landmark regulatory approval that positions the state at the forefront of digital rail infrastructure in Malaysia. The company is the first public transportation provider in the nation to be granted a private frequency spectrum by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission. The dedicated bandwidth is set to power the wireless communication systems for the upcoming autonomous rapid transit under the Kuching Urban Transportation System project.
The allocation focuses on the future Railway Mobile Communication System, or FRMCS, which is the next generation global standard for railway wireless networks. This technology promises enhanced digital rail services, increased operational safety, and the ability to manage high-capacity data transmission across the ART network. Sarawak Metro previously validated the technology in October 2024 after successfully completing live trials of its radio telecommunications system based on the FRMCS architecture. During a recent courtesy visit to MCMC headquarters in Cyberjaya, officials discussed strengthening collaborations to advance digitalization efforts in the state's public transport sector.
The Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, LHDN, has recorded its highest ever direct tax collection, reaching nearly 204 billion ringgit for 2025. A speech delivered by Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Ahmad Fadillah Yusof at LHDN's 30th anniversary celebration in Cyberjaya today, Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the figure marks a historic milestone as it is the first time the country's tax revenue has surpassed the 200 billion ringgit threshold.
Yakni julung kalinya kutipan cukai langsung negara melepasi paras 200 bilion ringgit. Seperti ditontonkan tadi. Pencapaian ini adalah peningkatan sebanyak 19.186 bilion ringgit atau 10.38% ketimbang tahun sebelumnya. Jadi syabas warga hasil.
He adds that the stronger revenue performance has enabled the government to allocate an additional 11.4 billion ringgit to settle outstanding tax refunds owed to companies, helping to resolve long-standing commitments in a more systematic manner. LHDN had previously recorded its highest direct tax collection in 2024 at 184.81 billion ringgit, a 0.8% increase from the 183.34 billion ringgit in 2023.
Meanwhile, private sector employers are being encouraged to seriously consider flexible work setups similar to what's already in place for the public sector. Prime Minister Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim says this includes options like working from home, which has been in effect since April 15th. The move is aimed at easing the cost pressures workers are facing, especially with global uncertainties driven by the West Asia conflict.
Dalam menghadapi risiko tekanan kos, majikan juga wajar lebih anjal dan pragmatik dalam mengurus operasi. Hatta saya menyeru para majikan agar mempertimbang aturan kerja fleksibel seperti yang telah dilaksanakan dalam sektor awam, termasuk melalui amalan bekerja dari rumah, demi mengurangkan penggunaan bahan api, meredakan tekanan kos serta mengekalkan produktiviti dan moral tenaga kerja.
He says current challenges have made managing government revenue and spending more urgent than ever. This calls for stronger governance across the board, ensuring every ringgit spent delivers value, tightening leakages and stepping up efforts to broaden revenue sources while improving tax compliance.
Sarawak is mourning the loss of its first Orang Ulu full minister, Dr. Sri Bok Dajang Laing, who passed away at age 100. His son confirmed he died Thursday night at the Sarawak Heart Centre. Dajang served as a state minister from 1963 to 1970, a critical period during Malaysia's formation. He was a fierce advocate for rural development and education. Meanwhile, his daughter remembers him as a generous risk-taker, saying that he took risk in business and politics. Even after leaving both, he always went back to the rakyat. She also noted that he introduced rubber, cocoa and later oil palm to their home region of Belaga.
When you do business, you take risks. So I saw that he also can take risks. He was very generous as a politician. So we learned growing up all these different characters, And I think what stands out most for me is because his love for people, his love for the community. Even after he is no more businessman, no more politician, he always goes back to the rakyat.
His grandnephew, Senator Pele Peter Tingum, also paid tribute. He said he learned politics by watching Dajang interact with the people. But his deepest debt is personal, as Dajang brought him from a remote interior village to Kuching.
Inspirasi kepada saya untuk bergerak maju dari segi kehidupan. Saya dulu belajar di satu kawasan di pedalaman di Hulu Sarawak dan beliau telah membawa saya belajar di Kuching pada darjah 3 dan tinggal dengan beliau sini selama 9 tahun sampai habis tamat tingkatan 5. Saya bersyukur dengan apa yang saya perolehi dengan dia. Saya sekarang menjadi seorang senator.
I'm Shilsh Mato. Thank you for watching and have a good night.